because you got onto this thing right now. Now you're gonna die. Right? It's all fake, but the unconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. So we put them through simulations, and unconsciously they'll go through a very similar process to thinking that this is the end. And they start to just reshape everything. Like, what is my life about? What's important for me? What are my values? Who's important to me? What am I going to start doing? What am I going to stop doing? What message have I not shared with the world yet?
Well, that is a whirlwind of a story, and so many questions I've got for you. But I tell you, for me, just one of the most interesting things you said there at the beginning was about this study on people who were thinking about committing suicide or simulating death. I mean, how much do you know about this? Do you know how they do simulate that death? Because I think for me, I was going to ask you about the suicide thing anyway, because it's something that I've always struggled to get my head around, and I don't obviously say that in a disrespectful way to people who are suicidal, but I guess I don't really have any fears in life other than death, and I think for me that fear of death is because it's a fear of the unknown, and it's a fear of my own death, not other people's death, because as close as people may be to me and as sad as it may be if they die, at least I know what that looks like. It just means they're not around anymore. But I guess, for me, that fear of the unknown means that I think no matter how depressed I was, no matter how, pissed off about situations or whatever, I could never pull the trigger on it, because I just don't know what's around the corner. I'd be interested. Well, two questions on that, really. One, how do they simulate death on this study? And secondly, as someone who's has been there yourself, how does it feel? When you say you felt that it would be easier on the other side of the world than we are today, I mean, was it just a thought? I mean, were you actually sat there with pills in your hand ready to do it? I mean, how do you get to that place?
Yeah. So first question about the study, I don't actually know. I only just literally read something on it like this week, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But it makes a lot of sense because in some of my programs, because it's had such a profound effect on me, like I'll simulate. So I can tell you how we simulate death. So we'll actually have people in leadership scenarios, and we put them through different sorts of settings where we've falsified what's actually happening, and they've got to play all out, right, this event, and we're simulating the fact that you're all going to die right now, and we need to figure out a way to all survive. And essentially we get to the end of it, and most people, like, we simulate that you're all going to die. What now? What's your life about? And the most remarkable thing that happens in people's eyes in that moment, they literally redecide their entire destiny. They're like, what is my, like, most people come into that and go, I've wasted my life until this point. I've played it safe. I haven't done anything. And when we really face them with, hey, I know you were thinking you were going to live forever, but now you're not, because you got onto this thing right now. Now you're going to die. Right? It's all fake, but the unconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. So we put them through simulations, and unconsciously they'll go through a very similar process to thinking that this is the end. And they start to just reshape everything. Like, what is my life about? What's important for me? What are my values? Who's important to me? What am I going to start doing? What am I going to stop doing? What message have I not shared with the world yet? The most powerful things come out of this, where people leave, they start businesses, they write books, they start podcasts, because they realize that they've been doing nothing even close to their potential yet. And when they can sort of go through a process like this, not only do they come away with this overwhelming sense of gratitude to be alive again, but to also go, they're grateful that they're alive, but they don't forget that they nearly died. So that memory sort of sits there where they're like, we can die at any moment. What are you going to do with this moment? And we've just seen people completely change their freaking lives for these things, and it's transformational. But the question, like, going through it, like, I was 19, so this is 11 years ago now. If I can sort of put it into, I interviewed a guy on my podcast. I forget his name, Kevin Hines. Kevin Hines had this really famous story where he was the guy who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, tried to kill himself, and he died. Oh, sorry, he didn't die. Obviously, I've talked to him. He tried to.
That would have been a hell of a podcast.
Yeah, that was a kill. That one went viral. That one. No, he shared his whole story. It went viral on Goldcast because he shared the moment he let go of the railing, what was going through his head, and he's like, instant regret. and he hits the water and he didn't actually die. It's this crazy story. Like literally a seal from the water came and pushed him up to the surface and pushed. It's a crazy story. And he's made the rest of his whole life talking about suicide prevention, helping people, all this stuff. And he put it in the best way I've ever heard said. He said to me, it's not depression, it's not any of these things, because this has a bit of a, even the word mental health, I don't even like that, because a lot of people have this this preconceived idea that there's something wrong with them. And it's not really there's something wrong with them. And I don't like it. And I'll say this very openly because I've gone through it. And people talk about, because I've gone through it and now I know what actually makes us the way we are. And I know how to actually help people reprogram themselves. If we believe that depression exists, it's going to exist. If we believe we have a mental health disorder, we're going to have it. We're going to do the thing. We're going to do the byproduct of who we believe we are. So if we think, oh, I have a mental health condition, great. What does somebody with a mental health condition do? They're probably depressed. They probably have anxiety. They're probably introvert. They probably don't go out there. They probably don't go to the gym. They probably don't eat nice foods. They probably don't look after themselves, because what's the point? Because I have a disorder. And what Kevin said was, he goes, it's none of that. What it is brain pain. And I'm like, that's so true, because it's this pain inside the brain that nothing stops it. Nothing can stop it. And the only way that it feels like to stop it is to die. And it is a crazy sort of thing. But if I was to sort of take myself back into the moment I was going through, it was, I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like it was really weird. 11 years ago, there wasn't podcasts like this. There wasn't people talking about the fact like this is somewhat normal to, be really down and out sometimes, especially as a tradie on the job site. It's like, you be a man, you toughen up, you drink, you take drugs, you fight. That's what it's all about. And the whole environment was just so toxic. And it just started to rub off on me, where it just started to eat me away from the inside out. It was negative, nothing. There was no certainty. There was no joy. There was no happiness. All of my, what felt like youth got taken away, because I was just so young and all I wanted to do was hang out with my friends and enjoy my life. But here I was spending 80 to 90 hours a week doing a job that I hated. And then I think it was just one thing after the next, like got defeated. We're not knowing the tools on how to actually develop a strong, resilient mind, or even how to raise my own self-esteem. And I think I even went through like a bit of a breakup. And I think that was like one of the last things. I was like, what? Fuck all this, and that was kind of it. And no, it wasn't a contemplation. It was actually like an attempt. Yeah. I did actually attempt. And then after, it was kind of like it all sort of worked. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I just actually had like a strong conversation with myself, where it was like, I was able to sort of objectively have a conversation with myself and be like, okay, you're thinking about doing this and do whatever you want, but are you sure it's the right decision? Have you tried every single other way before this? And the answer was no. So I was like, okay, well, before you try again, what do you want to do then? And the answer was, I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to stop drinking, taking drugs. I want to start eating healthy food. And I want to start exercising. I did all those things within a month, completely changed my life.